unmute yourself if you are, on computer. It has a little microphone thing. So just making sure we're all on the same page. All right. Christian Sumano. Evelyn Ascona. Charlotte McNair.
Here.
Beverly Sanchez. John Zimmerman.
Here.
Sue McElligott. Carla Castaneda.
Here.
Okay. Michael Belvin. Ivan Adorno.
Here.
Nancy Coppola.
Here.
John Cox.
Here.
All right. I'm just going to ask one more time with the people who weren't present. Christian Sumano. Evelyn Ascona. Beverly Sanchez. Sue McElligott. Michael Belvin. Okay. All right, we have 6 members present tonight.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Can we get the public announcement?
Certainly. Just give me 1 second.
Can you hear me?
Sue?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize it went to auto mute. I am here.
Okay, so let me just mark you down as present now. And that's no worries. We have 7. That's good. Glad to have you here. All right. Let me dig out the thing. Where is it? Okay. All right. Please be advised that the notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act have been complied with and satisfied, and that the annual notice, which gave sufficient notice of the time, place, and conduct of all public meetings of the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the City of New Brunswick, has been filed with the City Clerk and has been placed on an appropriate bulletin board and posted in the back vestibule of City Hall, visible to the public through the windows in the lobby of City Hall, New Brunswick, New Jersey, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper for the City of New Brunswick, namely the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger. Additionally, a change of look. No, actually, there wasn't, because we put it in the annual notice, right? So that's why I've been skipping that. Sorry. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has issued executive orders limiting the size of public gatherings of individuals until further notice. Furthermore, the CDC has issued guidelines to limit gatherings of groups. City Zoning Board of Adjustment tends to meet on a regular schedule, meet the guidelines of the Open Public Meetings Act by utilizing teleconferencing and video systems. Public participation at public meetings has been revised, and the public may participate through a conference call or video system. The public is encouraged to call into the conference call system through the phone numbers and access codes transmitted in the above notice to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger and posted in the back vestibule of City Hall, visible to the public through the windows. Board professionals will also be available via conference call and video during this meeting as well. All parties on the conference call will have the opportunity to hear the planning board meeting. During the portions of the meeting that are not open for public comment, all callers from the public will be muted, and the board will not be able to hear any comment through the conference call system. During the public comment periods, I will first read public comments issued to the board, then those on the conference call in lines who have interest in addressing the board will first be organized by last name and call on to speak. After all organized members of the public speak once or for no more than 5 minutes in any given public meeting portion, the timer will time at the completion of each 5-minute period, and I will notify you that the time has expired. Public meeting assistants accessing the calling number should call the planning department at 732-745-5050.
Thank you, Dan. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
For which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minutes of the board's February 22nd, 2021 meeting.
All right. Well, I think it was the February 22nd meeting. Oh, February 2021, the year. Got it.
My fault. Okay.
All right. It's all right. Too many 20s. Eligible voters are Charlotte McNair, John Zimmerman, Sue McElligott, Carla Castaneda, Ivan Adorno, Nancy Coppola, and John Cox.
I just have one question for Arvin. Arvin, in the resolution for conditions, we did put down that no parking by outside people from the neighborhood, as was stated by the owner. but do we have to make sure that he hasn't been doing that? Because he said he was going to stop it immediately. Is there any way we can make sure he stopped that immediately, or?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, the best way would be through code enforcement at this time. There is now a condition, once the adoption of the resolution occurs, then he's bound by the condition that he cannot rent it out or have non-tenants parking in those spaces. So that can be enforced.
Okay, all right, but it doesn't have to be worded that way that he said he would be out, right? It's just by you putting in there that only tenants of the buildings will be allowed, right?
That's correct.
All right, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Sue McElligott. I make a motion to approve.
Nancy Coppola, second.
Okay. Charlotte McNair,
Yes.
John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott,
Yep.
Carla Castaneda,
Yes.
Ivan Adorno,
Yes.
Nancy Coppola,
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes. Resolutions of memorialization, 96 to 100. Bayard Street Associates LLC, 96-100 Bayard Street, Block 20, Lot 6.02, ZB-2020-18.
Now, I don't remember this exact, but Nancy, did you recuse yourself on this one? Or
No.
was that, am I misremembering the applications?
Dan, I don't believe Nancy recused herself on this one. I believe it was one from a couple months ago on with.
I'm here, John. No,
Oh, okay.
I didn't recuse myself last month. It was the month before.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good. Okay. So eligible voters are John Zimmerman, Sue McElligott, Carla Castaneda, Ivan Adorno, Nancy Coppola, and John Cox.
This is John Zimmerman. I'll make a motion to approve.
This is Sue McElligott. I'll second.
John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott,
Yes.
Carla Castaneda,
Yes.
Ivan Adorno,
Yes.
Nancy Coppola,
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes. All right.
All right.
We have public hearings. I'm just going to skip the first real quick because I'm just going to make an announcement for BRG Morel LLC, 52 and 58 Morel Street, Block 77, lots 30-01 and 32-01, ZB 2020-17. Preliminary and final site plan application with D use and C bulk variances to construct a new 3-story multifamily residential building with 12 units and 13 parking spaces, zoning district R-5A, single and 2-family residential. This application is being held till the April 26, 2020 meeting, and they will not have to renotice. This will be the notice for that. Arvin, is there anything else we need to say?
No, there is an extension of time that will be granted by way of a letter through to the end of April.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we'll move right into the other application. Dialysis Clinic, Inc., 235 George Street, 52 Tabernacle Way, 54 and 64 Beale Street, Block 126, lots 3.01, 7, 8.01, 10, ZB 2019-02. Site plan amendment to relocate the electrical service to the property with aerial overhead connection from the pole on Tabernacle Way to a new proposed pole with transformer. The applicant also proposes one additional parking space on the site. Zoning district R-5A, single and 2-family residential /C-2B community commercial. Lawrence A. Cali, Esquire. Mr. Cali, before we get into it, I just want to ask any board member if they have any conflict of interest with this application to please speak up. All right, seeing none, Mr. Cali, you go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nice to see everyone this evening. Back before the board on behalf of the applicant, Larry Callie. And as you posited, Mr. Chairman, it's Dialysis Clinic, Inc. The board members, I think at least a large composition of this board recalls us from our site plan application back when we had the meetings in person. Once upon a time, we were here. We explained what the nonprofit dialysis clinic does. We obtained a use variance relief from the board unanimously, granting an approval. So the only thing that's happened since then, other than the applicant trying to build out pursuant to the approved plans, and they're almost there now, I'm happy to report, is a change in a part of the infrastructure, if you will, of the utility service to the property that our folks in the field, our engineers, discussed with the city, and Mr. Dominguez thought it was prudent that that item return to the board on an amendment. So that's what we submitted to the board. While we were looking at that, I told the applicant, now's an opportunity to consider anything else you might be able to do with the property since we're going back to the board anyway. We think we may have found area to add one parking space. If the board recalls, we had a parking shortfall under the code. We explained it away to the board's satisfaction with dynamic traffic, indicating that these renal clinics really do not have a high parking demand. The board unanimously granted the parking variance as well, and we offered off-site spaces bank, that parking authority property in the city. But our current plan shows an ability to add one more parking space, which we don't think we need, but we're glad to offer it. And it's part of our current request before the board to add that one parking space for your consideration tonight. So I would ask that the board, when Mr. Lane, who's going to be our only witness testifying shortly, Bill Lane from Menlo was the scrivener of record on the prior application. He prepared the amended plans before the board. He'll take you through that change in the utility structure that we're proposing, which was part of the amended site plan. And then Bill will walk you through that additional parking space we can capture on site. We think it's a good thing. It makes the variance that's already approved even more mitigated by one space. It could allow for a corresponding reduction of need on city parking authority property by one space, which saves this nonprofit client and applicant money over the term of its operations here. So we think that's a good thing, but we'll discuss it with the board. We think we'll be relatively brief this evening, Mr. Chairman. And with that, if there are no questions, I'd like to turn it over to our engineer to take you through it.
Mr. Kelly, let me just ask our board attorney if there's any, if we have jurisdiction over this matter and has everything been sent to him properly?
I have reviewed the notices that were provided, Mr. Chairman, and I do find that this board does have jurisdiction. I'd only ask, Mr. Callie, is there a planner scheduled for this evening also?
No, there's not, because the only variance proposed is a mitigation. I mean, it's the parking space we're proposing is an improvement. That creates a slight increase in coverage. Mr. Lane's going to be our limited witness this evening.
Marvin, you hear me?
Sorry, I just wanted to note that for my notes.
Okay.
Sure.
I apologize. I know you'd answered it. I thought that he was going to go on from there. Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know when to shut my mouth. My wife has taught me very well. So normally I answer a question, then I just sit with a smile until I hear something else.
All right, Mr. Kelly, you can go ahead.
Thank you. So, Bill, we're going to swear you in momentarily and qualify you. I see you on the screen there with us.
All right, Mr. Lane, can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Sure. William Lane, Lane.
All right, Mr. Lane, do you swear affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Bill, I know you testify. I know you're a frequent flyer here. Just briefly, your engineer license remains in good standing in the state of New Jersey?
Yes.
You've testified before numerous boards, including this board and other agencies in the city on countless occasions over a number of years. Is that right?
Yeah, probably 80, 90 boards throughout the state of New Jersey and many times in front of Brunswick.
Mr. Kelly, we will accept him as an expert witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So, Bill, you heard my brief proffer to the board that the first thing that brings us back here was the limited amendment for the utility modification proposing with the electrical connection points. And then we gratuitously found a way to add a parking space, which helps us mitigate an already approved variance condition. And it comes with a little bit of an increase in coverage. So if you could, Bill, And I know you're going to utilize the sheets that we already have on file with the board. If you are going to share the screen, take the board through the two limited proposals that we're offering up this evening for an amendment.
Is my screen up? Is my drawing up on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, what we're talking about tonight is at the corner of Tabernacle and Abiel. What we used to have a transformer that sat here where this proposed third parking spot is. What happened was PSC&G, for the demand that this building needs, stated that they wanted a pole-mounted transformer. They didn't need a ground-mounted. So what we're looking to do is install a utility pole out near the property line, roughly at where the center of this radius here on the curb return. We're to extend the aerial line that goes to the existing house now, or used to go to the existing house, over to that pole, come to the pole-mounted transformer, then down underground and into the building. With the removal of that transformer, we were able to add this third space here. Again, we had 16 before. We're looking at now provide 17. With that change, it bumps the pavement out a little bit, so it's about 380 square feet. Maybe another 3% total on the site. And with that, we're still adding the landscaping in that area. So really, from the street wise, you won't know the difference, other than not seeing the transformer pad and a new pole.
And Bill, being able to capture this additional parking space has that slight increase in coverage, a couple hundred square feet from a design standpoint. And your office prepared the initial stormwater management implementation here, has seen the build out. In your opinion, as an engineer, is that increase in coverage going to have any impact on our property, the surrounding properties, or any of the infrastructure that's serving us?
No, it's a different.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, it's not all that exciting of a story to tell this evening. The genesis of this was the utility company telling us that there needed to be a change. The proposed implementation was vetted with city staff. As I indicated, Mr. Dominguez thought it was best if that be brought before the board as an amendment, which is the simple and variance-free part of our change. The added parking space, again, we found room to capture another space to improve on-site parking. We don't think we need it, but we're glad to offer it up. And that comes along with it a corresponding increase of a few hundred square feet of coverage increase. But we think that on the whole, it's probably off having the added space and the increased coverage rather than not. And that is the entirety of our case. There is nothing changing about the approved operations, nothing changing about the underlying design plans that were approved, the skin of the building, the signage, hours, anything like that. It's all the same. This is the very limited amendment before the board that we have this evening, and certainly glad to answer any questions you folks may have.
All right, thank you. Any member of the board have any questions or comments on this application?
This is John Zimmerman. I just want to say that any addition to parking is a great idea. So I'm all in favor of the extra parking, of course. So anything you can do to help, that's fine with me.
Thank you. And I would ask, Mr. Chairman and board members, if when we work out, if this board votes favorably, the resolution of approval captured the delta of our parking shortfall as spaces the applicant was to provide on parking authority property. If the board votes favorably, we ask that the resolution correspondingly agree to reduce the one space we have to provide off-site, since the total number is now balanced out with one more on-site. So at the end of the day, it's a slight cost help to the applicant, but it still meets the total required, which I think was 41 spaces. Right now, we're proposing and approved for X number off-site. If we have one more here, X is now one number too high. So we would ask that that be reduced by way of an amendment in the resolution as well, if the board were inclined to vote favorably tonight.
Sure, thank you for that, Mr. Kelly. Any other board member have any questions or comment?
This is Michael Belvin. I wasn't here at the start of the meeting, but I've been on the call for about 10 minutes since the beginning of the presentation.
Oh, so Michael, you heard everything that the witness stated?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Dan and Arvin, is that okay?
Chairman, that's fine, as long as he's heard all of the testimony and also the attorney's opening remarks, unless he wants to repeat that.
This is Michael. I'm fine. He doesn't have to repeat it.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Okay. All right. See, and any other board member have any questions or comments before I open it up to the public? Any staff members have any questions or comments on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure. Todd, please go
So
ahead.
I just wanted to just remind the board of just one thing, and it's a bit of a technicality, but I think it's definitely within the board's power to hear this and decide it. That additional parking space that they're providing, you know, in the previous application, they had an impervious coverage of 89%. By adding that parking space, they're making the parking more conforming by adding one more space where they needed it. But that it happens to drive up impervious coverage just a tiny bit by about 3.8%. But you know, I'd remind the board that, you know, 50% is the maximum. You've already granted a variance for 89%, so they're really going from 89 to 92%. So I mean, I think it you know, if the board's position is that that's really sort of not really significant, sort of incidental or de minimis, you know, you could certainly make a finding that the benefits that you're going to get out of the increased additional parking space really kind of negate the de minimis sort of, you know, increase in impervious that you're going to get by providing an extra parking space. So, but that's all. Just, you know, one note of a thing that it really should get added into the resolution there, that
Just
technically it's an increase.
Hey, this is Dan Dominguez. Just jumping in. Just for clarity's sake, Todd, I just pulled up the bulk table for the zone. It's 90% maximum there.
We're in the R5A, Dan.
Isn't that in
Yeah,
the
it's a split
C2B?
zone.
Oh, it's a split zone. You're right. Never
So
mind.
I think the George Street stuff is in that commercial zone. I think the back half that goes on
You're
the
right.
back.
You're right. I forgot that it was in a
Yeah.
split zone. I apologize. You're right.
Yeah. So in the R5A part, it's 50% is the max, and the board already
Yep,
granted
that's correct.
89%.
That's all correct. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dan and Todd. At this point in time, I'd like to open it up to the public. Dan, can you please read the statement for the public comment portion?
Give me one second. Just
Sure, no problem.
how do I make that call? Seeing that we don't have too many members of the public on, I'm just going to open it up. Members of the public who are here, if you need to unmute yourself, it's *6 or the little microphone button if you're on phone, *6 if you're on computer. I'm also going to hit unmute all to facilitate. Is there anyone at all who has any comments on this application?
Sure.
Put you on a list of speakers, and then you'll have 5 minutes to speak.
List of speakers.
Yes, hello, Charlie Crabbe. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, Charlie.
All right, Mr. Cradaville. Is there anyone else?
Sure, I do.
All right.
Balakachati Radhakrishnan. I'm the neighboring property for the DCI.
Okay. All right, got you. Anyone else? Last call? Okay, the list is now closed. First speaker is Mr. Charlie Cradaville. Mr. Cradaville, can you please state your name, spell your last name, and address for the record?
Yes, sir. Charlie Cradaville, Kratovil, and I live on Saddam Street here in New Brunswick. I swear to tell the whole truth.
All right, you're on, Mr. Cradaville.
Thank you. wanted to ask if the applicant is aware of a transformer fire at Hassert and Abeal Streets on August the 4th. Does that have anything to do with this?
I can tell you what, we're not aware of it, and there is no connection to an unfortunate fire and this project. This is a prospective change we're asking for.
Okay. And I did walk by the day, and I guess my only concern is that there's now some new poles on the other side of Tabernacle, and the sidewalk has been, part of it's been destroyed to make way for the pole. And I just want to make sure that the applicant's going to be responsible neighbors and fix that sidewalk there that they cut into, and that the sidewalk will still be, able to accommodate people.
Yeah, I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but the applicant is subject to restoration, permitting reviews, and closing out permits. So whatever the applicant's obligation is, they are certainly going to honor.
Okay, was it the applicant responsible for moving that pole or putting that new pole in opposite side of Tabernacle, or did PSE&G do that?
I don't know the specifics of that, what's been going on in the field for the past year. Maybe my site engineer does. Bill, do you happen to know?
Yeah, that work also has to be done by PSE&G.
Okay. Well, I'll follow up with them, but I am concerned about the change there, making it harder for pedestrians to get around. But, that's all I have on this application. I wish you well with the project.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have the
We
next
have
witness?
one more. Radhakrishnan. Priya Radhakrishnan. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can
Good
you
evening,
state
folks.
your name, spell your last name, and provide your address?
Balakachetty Radhakrishnan, 233 George Street, New Brunswick.
All right.
The neighboring
Just so-
property owner.
Yeah, before you swear him in,
Yeah.
if we could just for the record have him spell his first name as well.
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. Balakachetty.
All right, thank you. Do you swear from tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm the neighboring property owner, as mentioned before. And good evening to the board and the board members. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. And last board meeting, they were given variances for the DCI. But at that time, we didn't know variance affect our borderline. As the time come along, in July, we received a notice from Kali Esquire as a litigation notice, basically. We were not properly served. This is about the property line between 233 and 235. They didn't bring it up to the board meeting. This is the problem that exists in the borderline. Who encroaches whom? They never supplied us a complete survey. And they start litigating on us for the past 1 year. And still there's no end in sight. I would like to know, with the current variance again, how many people is going to sue? And it's a very expensive affair. The board has to consider in future and present and the past also, when they approve any variances, irrelevant of how insignificant it is, they have to consider the litigation part of the whole deal. This gives us many mental torture and very expensive attorney's fee, which I don't have to incur because they bought the property. They know what is going on with the property. They didn't tell us what's going on. After getting the property, they make all kinds of claims and acquisitions and variance acquisitions and encroachment problems. I would like to know how the board want to resolve it before they give approval for this DCI project. This individual said they are non-profit organization, not profit. Then why are you suing your neighbors? If you are non-profit, I don't get it. You're supposed to be a good neighbor. Just because we objected to the parking before, you don't give us help for that. No, you ask for public comment, we're giving you the public comment. You take it or you don't want to take it, that's your choice. But we gave you the comment. You don't hold it against public. That is not a public comment, it's a true-up comment. I would like to get an answer from Mr. Kali because he doesn't want to talk to us in person or over the phone. He's too busy. How to end the litigation from the last approval? You may say it's not related. Yes, darn well it is related because you are giving to the company, they're suing the neighbors for no reason whatsoever. These lines, property lines were drawn 100 years ago. When we bought it, we didn't know about it. When he got it, he knows about it because he knows how to litigate. That means he should know about it. You should have brought it to the public attention. At the same time, you should have brought it to the board's attention that it is on the property line. He said we had to move the wall, we had to move the shed, we had to move the building wall. The building has been there for 120 years. It's a joke. It's a total joke. He better step down, find out what he's doing before we could give any approval to this guy. I'm very sorry to explain that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll respond only insofar as it sounds like our neighbor is alleging a non-disclosure to the board by the applicant. What he's referring to is, in fact, a litigation that DCI had to institute after a lack of agreement by the neighbor to remove their encroaching structures. And that litigation is unfortunately ongoing. It's got nothing to do with this or the last application. So that's as far as really I comfortably respond in this forum, Mr. Chairman.
Let me comment back again, please. Let me give you an opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Can you give me an opportunity to comment?
Sure, go ahead. You still have about a minute.
All right.
He's got about 25 seconds left.
Line, when they get the survey, they never issued a survey to us. They always say, you check your survey. My survey says my property in my property line. And he says, he never showed us the survey. His property is in his line. But you don't even resolve this matter. You want to get comment back for more and more approval. For what? You see other neighbors also? You resolve this matter first before you go to the next step.
That's time.
All right. Thank you. Dan, that was all the,
Yes, that was it.
all right, so I will close the public comment at this time. Mr. Kelly, do you
Mr.
have
Chairman?
Yes, Arvin, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Before we get to Mr. Kelly, I just have a couple of questions based upon, I think, Mr. Radhakrishna's comments. The plans that were submitted, I'm assuming that those plans show the basis of the plans are the survey that you believe would be your property. Is that correct?
Yes, my survey shows.
No. I'm asking Mr.
I'm sorry.
Kelly.
The underlying surveys, Arvin, that were filed as part of the original application were updated surveys that Menlo outsourced. So yeah, in 2018, you've had new surveys on file with the city, with the board, yes.
So does it show the encroaching, I guess there's a structure, an encroaching structure there?
There are several neighbor structures that encroach without any legal right. I don't know offhand if it was on that original survey file with the Board of Adjustment, but that's all in Superior Court now.
Can I comment again?
Well,
please?
here's,
No.
if I may.
Yes,
I'm
please, go
sorry,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I don't mean to, step into, I think that the public portion was closed, is that correct?
Yes, it has been.
Okay, so the concern that I would have is that you're showing the boundaries of your property without showing an encroachment. And does any of the proposed development occur? And maybe this is a question for Mr. Lane.
Our property is,
over-
our development is wholly on our property.
I understand, but I'm just trying to visualize these structures that are apparently encroaching on your property, correct? Am I correct so far? There are structures that are
You,
encroaching
I
on your
don't know,
property.
I don't know where we're going with this tonight, but you are correct so far, yeah.
Okay, so let me just at least lay it out so I can get to the question, I guess. So if there are structures that are encroaching on your property, are they shown on your plan as encroaching structures to be removed?
Yes, there was any overage on our property line was shown as someone else's development.
Okay, maybe I should ask Mr. Lane. Bill, are they shown any encroaching structure? Just so I know, what is it that's alleged to encroach onto your property? Is it a building? Is it a shed or a fence?
The existing house dwelling is over in the front, and we're leaving that as is. You knew that was there. Then there was a shed constructed in the back, and that was over the property also.
Okay, this is, I guess the shed could be easily removed or somewhat easily removed if it had to have been to be removed. Is that correct?
I believe it already was or reconstructed.
But the structure that I'm concerned about is I guess it's a building, correct? Part of a
Well,
building.
the house that's out along George Street is over on the property line.
And what are you proposing on putting in place of that building?
Nothing.
We're leaving it. It's staying.
We're not leaving.
Gotcha. Okay, no, that answers that question.
Yep.
The other question that I have, Mr. Callie, is that you've indicated that you're going to be able to provide one additional parking space. Your notice certainly addresses that. It does not address the increase in the coverage, the lot coverage.
Okay, and the Lacey v. Perlmart, I would say that that's covered, but again, the alternative is I'll simply withdraw the request for the parking space if the board thinks they don't have jurisdiction on that. That's fine with us.
Well, then you're not necessarily changing anything on the site except for the proposed utility connection. Is that correct?
Well, I think Lacey v. Perlmart's very clear that it's got to give the public reasonable notice of what's being proposed. And I think it does that. So I do think we are covered with the catch-all in the notice. We have neighbors.
This isn't, Larry, respectfully, this isn't covered by this is not covered by Lacey v. Perlmart. I think that the public has to be on fair notice of the variances that you're seeking, or the catch-all language has to be that variances which the board believes that you may need. This is one that you knew about because you've got in your notice and your proposal and your opening and Mr. Lane's testimony that you're going to add an additional parking space, and you're actually going to make this a better site by becoming more compliant. The result of that was that there was going to be an increase, or there will be an increase in the impervious coverage on that site. I'm not sure that the public is fairly on notice that there's going to be a trade-off here.
So the applicant will withdraw the request for the additional parking space. Bill, if that is done, can we keep the coverage down to the prior approved coverage?
Yes.
Okay.
Arvin, does that satisfy you?
In terms of notice, yes.
Okay. Mr. Kelly, do you have, is there anyone else that has any questions for this, for anything right now? Staff members, no?
Yeah, Mr. Cox.
Yes, please.
I just want to be clear. So if the applicant is withdrawing the request for the additional parking space, then the transformer is still going to be proposed on the pole, and the area that was previously shown as, I guess, transformer is now going to be what? Since it's not going to be parking.
Will be a grass landscape area.
Right.
Okay, that's fine with me if that's what you want to propose, but I just need a plan that shows that.
Yeah, our post approval, I candidly think I respectfully disagree, Arvin. I think it's form over substance, the result here of not getting the one parking space, which is the benefit of all over that detail. Respectfully, we'll move on, and once the board votes, if it's approved, the post-approval submission will be a detail of green space in lieu of the parking space.
Todd, does that satisfy you?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it's not so much a matter of me being satisfied. I just want it to be clear exactly what they're proposing and what exactly we need to look for. So I don't, I'm not weighing in on as far as where I think it should be parking or transformer or grass or whatever. I just want it, something to be clear on the plans as far as what it's going to be.
Sure, no, totally understand. Thank you. Any other professional staff have any comments at this time? Seeing none, whoop.
John, this is Nancy. It's not,
Sure,
I'm
Nancy.
not a professional staff, but
No,
I'm a
but-
little confused right now.
Okay,
I'm just, what exactly are we going to be voting on? Because first there was like parking spot that was being offered, now that's being removed. So what exactly is it that we are going to be voting on? Because I am confused.
Bill, would you mind explaining it to the board again, the limited request, which is what we all started with when this application was filed?
Instead of installing a ground mounted transformer, we're going to be installing an aerial transformer on a utility pole on site.
That's all. And instead of the ground mounted transformer, you're going to see grass there now. That's all we're doing.
and you will be leaving the parking space at the New Brunswick Parking Authority deck would stay as per the last resolution, correct, Mr. Kelly?
Correct.
All right. Nancy, does that better understanding for you?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding before I cast a vote.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. I was going to, after Mr. Kelly did his final closing statement, I was going to ask the board if they had any discussion. But Mr. Kelly, do you have a closing statement?
No, Mr. Chairman, very simple, straightforward case before the board. I want to thank you all again for your time this evening. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board member discussions? Anyone have anything to discuss? Seeing none from the board. Katie, can you please go along with the conditions if there is approval?
Yep, this is Katie. I just wanted to make sure for the special conditions, I have carried forward all conditions of approval from the prior approval, which is zoning board 2019-02, and then engineering plans to be revised to show a grass area in lieu of the proposed parking space. Is there anything else that I've missed, or is everyone good with that?
Yeah, I believe that's it.
Okay, all right. So should the board act favorably on this application, we recommend the following conditions of approval. Compliance with the terms of the DNR report dated January 19, 2021, and the city engineering report dated January 14, 2021 for the project. Payment of site performance bond in an amount reviewed and approved by the city engineer as required. Submission of a site inspection escrow deposit for engineering inspection fees in an amount calculated pursuant to Title 16-24-160 as required. Payment of any water and sewer connection fees if required. Issuance of a road opening permit from the city engineer if required. The applicant shall schedule a pre-construction meeting with the city engineer. Compliance with the terms of the Bignell Consulting Report dated March 16, 2021. Planning review escrow funded for all anticipated post-approval reviews. Payment of all outstanding taxes and water sewer fees. Middlesex County Planning Board approval or waiver. Freehold Soil Conservation District approval or waiver. Submission of engineering site plans to comply with any changes required by the planning or engineering memos or plan amendments offered at the hearing. A continuation of the execution of a Title 39 parking enforcement agreement, compliance with the city's water service system ordinance, carrying forward all conditions of approval from the prior approval, which is zoning board 2019-02, approved in June 23rd, 2019. Engineering plans to be revised to show grass area in lieu of the proposed parking space. All utilities and other site improvements to be maintained at the applicant at their sole expense. All on-site utilities to be constructed underground. All temporary encroachments into the public right-of-way shall require city council approval. All construction staging shall be done on site unless an encroachment allowing to the public right-of-way is approved by the city council. Streets will be kept clean of sediment and debris. The applicant shall cause the streets to be cleaned if directed to do so by the Director of Public Works. Tracking pads will be installed at all construction exits. Replacement of damaged streets, curbs, and sidewalks per the direction of the city engineer. And this is an application for amended preliminary and final site plan, and there are no variances. And that's all.
Thank you, Katie. Do I have a motion from a board member?
This is Ivan. I'll make a motion to approve.
Was that Ivan? Okay.
And Nancy will second.
So Michael came in, so then John Zimmerman,
Yes.
Sue McElligott,
Yes.
Carla Castaneda,
Yes.
Michael Belvin,
Yes.
Ivan Adorno,
Yes.
Nancy Coppola,
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you, folks. Have a nice night, everybody.
You too, Mr. Connelly.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the next annual report of the zoning board. Review of the variances granted by the zoning board in 2020. Katie, I believe we were going to hold this until the April 26th, 2021 meeting so that we can, the members can all look it over a little bit better. Okay, thank you. So we will review that at the April 26th, 2021 meeting. Discussion items. Do we have anything to discuss, Dan?
No.
All right, thank you. And then we're going to go to other matters of interest to the public. Dan, you want to open it up again to the thing, to the
Sure.
public? We can,
Sure. We have even fewer people now on the call, so I'll do the same as before. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak once and for no more than 5 minutes on general public comment?